Now, I'm sure most of you know what Too Many Types is, but for those of you who don't, it was a mod made by famous YouTuber Alfred and his team that adds over 40 different types to the game. From gun to magic to gender, it's truly wild what they were able to implement into this game. So with this many types, I wanted to see how difficult it would be to beat the game using only one type, or as close to one as I could get. So with all that said, welcome to day 1 of my magic-only Pokemon Too Many Types playthrough. So our adventure begins just like any other. I name myself Moon after Sailor Moon, leave my house, pick my starter, use said starter to reduce an Angie dog to ashes, and save Birch. I then name my starter Ember, and with Ember we have the first Pokemon of our magic team, Fennekin. Birch then sends me to find his son, who will soon become the bane of my existence, and I scratch his Poplio to death. And we head back together to get our Pokedex and some Pokeballs. And then we set off. Nothing of note really happens before Rustboro besides fighting an Aqua Grunt and his ugly fish, so we'll jump right to fighting Roxanne. Roxanne utilizes the Rock and Ancient type in this mod. She was the first challenge I was scared of, as her Rock types are super effective against Fennekin. She opens up with Geodude, who goes down to one Eldritch Blast. She then sends out her strongest Pokemon, Baltoy. Now Baltoy has gained the Ancient type, which is weak to fire, but I know he can take one Flame Charge. I use Flame Charge to hit for about half, and Baltoy uses Rock Tomb. I know I'm faster, so this should be in the bag, until he lived with a sliver of health. I figured his attempt was over at this point, but then this happened.
Wait, no, yes!
He missed. I don't know how, but by the grace of God, he missed. With that lucky break, I took out the Baltoy and the Lileep and left with my first badge. More of the story happens, get the Devon goods and save Pico, and then we make our way to Dewford. And this is where my troubles began. At this point, you have probably noticed I still only have one Pokemon on my team. Well, unfortunately for me, it's gonna be that way until I reach Mauville City, as Route 17 is when I can get my next encounter, and even then, it's an Eevee I then have to evolve into a Glaceon. So, just like Roxanne, we're gonna have to take down Broly with just one Pokemon. After talking to Steven, I raised Ember to level 19 and went to go challenge Broly. After navigating my way through his Stinky Gym, my fight began. Broly utilizes the Stinky and Fighting type, so I was pretty confident going in, considering Stinky is weak to fire, and, well, I assumed Fighting was weak to magic. He leads with Mankey, who is the Angie type and therefore weak to fire, so he goes down easy. Broly then sends out his Sock, who is the funny joke type, and I think I won't have too many problems taking care of it until this happens. Okay, why is Fighting super effective again? Oh dear. So, turns out Furry is weak to Fighting! This is where I hit a roadblock. I couldn't beat Broly with just my one Pokemon at level cap, so I first put the Slate Board to try and find another magic type to no avail, and then tried again to an instant loss from his Sock. I was essentially stuck. I had to make a choice. While I never said there was a hard level cap, I implemented a soft level cap of don't get too high in levels, and this was mainly so I didn't go over level and breeze through every fight. But Broly was proving to be too tough of a challenge to be just at level cap 4 with just one Pokemon. So I did what I had to do to continue this challenge. And by that, I mean feed Ember rare candies until he was level 24. With an empowered Ember, I went back to defeat Broly. Mankey goes down easy as always, and out comes his Sock. I use Fire Spin and bring him down to half health. He heals a little bit with the berry and hits me with Double Kick. Luckily I live, and from the lingering damage of Fire Spin and a brand new Fire Spin, I'm able to take him out. Machop falls very easily, and I got my second badge. After Broly, I sail a Slateport to deliver the Devon parts, where I get into an altercation with Team Aqua, and lose on my first fight with them. This is mainly because I forgot to heal, but it's still a little embarrassing. The second try goes way better, and after talking with Archie, I can finally head to Mauville City. I was in pretty high spirits at this point. I got 2 gym badges with 1 mod. I felt like after this, it was smooth sailing for at least a little bit. That was until I ran into him. Remember how I said Brendan was going to be the bane of my existence? Well, we've reached the reason as to why. This fight with Brendan with my current team of 1 guy feels frankly impossible. Let me tell you about Brendan's team, or at least the part I've had the pleasure of seeing, being a Lombre and a Brionne. The Lombre is pretty easy to deal with just 1 magic missile. Yes, Ember knows magic missile, it goes down. My real problem is the Brionne. It knows Aqua Jet, which is a priority move, and can 2-shot Ember. At the time, I couldn't think of what to do because my brain didn't think to just raise the level of my Pokemon like an idiot, so I kept bashing my head against this wall. I tried teaching Ember Scratch, but that's essentially just me banking on a crit. Hey, welcome back to day 2 of the magic-only Too Many Types playthrough. We continue where our journey left off with me wanting to cause physical harm to Brendan. I decided to follow my own advice in the last video and raise Ember's level to 30. I initially thought it was a bit overkill until I went to the fight. Lombre comes out first and goes down to 1 scratch. Brendan then sends out the menace that is Brionne. Brionne opens with an Aqua Jet and brings Ember to just about half health, and I retaliate with a scratch. Brionne does one more Aqua Jet, leaving me at just 2 HP, and another scratch is just enough to take it out. Brendan sends out his final Pokemon Slugma, who is the D's Nuts type. Being on 2 HP, I'm really worried about this final Pokemon, because if I don't take him out with one move, I lose. I use Magic Missile and finally defeat Brendan. With this victory, I finally have access to Mauville City in my first encounter of the run. In Route 117, I find an Eevee who I named Jack Frost in preparation for its evolution, Glaceon. Sadly, Glaceon will have to wait as the item I need to evolve Eevee is in Lilycove City. So while we have finally caught a Pokemon, it will have to wait in the box for now. So, we fight Watson with one Mon as well. Watson uses the Prime type and has access to the move Hype Train, which works like Rollout. I've seen Watson take out many a YouTuber, so I was really worried. But to my surprise, the Watson fight went really well. It definitely held that Ember was level 30, but we basically swept through his whole team. After a pretty uneventful gym fight, I head to Meteor Falls, and within Meteor Falls, we can finally get an encounter we can use. In Hatchram. We named her Cersei, and after 3 gym leaders, we finally have a second member of the team. I proceeded to get a little lost as I forgot how the story of Emerald goes, but we eventually reached Mount Chimney to challenge Maxie. The first fight ended in a loss, and where I learned that Fire Spin has an accuracy of 85, we win the rematch and head to Lava Ridge. Lava Ridge is where we can get our third party member in the Lava Ridge egg, which hatches into a Ponyta who I named Twilight. After leveling her up, we begin our next gym challenge. Flannery utilizes the Fire and Fluffy type, which is going to prove to be a challenge. Fluffy resists a lot of the moves I have available to me, and with half her Pokemon also having the Friend type, this brings up even more resistances. All of her Mons make use of the Fluffy move Warm Hug, which paralyzes you, and it proved to be very annoying. And with Snuggle Strike that can flinch, Flannery is going to be a challenge. After multiple failed attempts, I eventually learned that the Vibe type is a great counter for her whole team, so with an evolved Cersei, we came up with a plan. The plan simply being keep Cersei alive so we have access to the Vibe move, which is the only move that's super effective against Flannery's entire team. And if she ever gets low, switch to Ember or Twilight so that they can get some damage in and be a wall so I can heal Cersei. Flannery leads with a Furret, who like most of her team is weak to the Vibe type. Cersei uses Hey Chill, which leaves Furret with a sliver of health, making Flannery waste her Hyper Potions. After Furret goes down, she sends out Flareon. Cersei dies from one more attack, so we send out Ember, who takes neutral damage from all Flareon's moves. I take out Flareon with a Hype Train, and out comes Arcanine, who takes out Ember with a Bite. I send out Twilight to deal as much damage as possible while I heal Cersei and revive Ember, and when Twilight goes down, Ember comes out and takes out Arcanine with a Hype Train. Flannery then sends out her final Pokemon Ninetales, and this is where I realize I'm in a bad spot. Ember will go down for 1 attack from Ninetales, and Cersei can barely take 2 hits at full HP. So I resort to using a lot of revives and potions until finally Ninetales fail, and we can claim our 4th badge. Hey guys, your favorite Magic type gym leader's back for the Magic Only Too Many Types playthrough, Day 3. Day 3 starts with us challenging the 5th gym leader and our father with a secret, Norman. Norman uses the Furry type, which includes such Pokemon as Vaporeon and Sudowoodo, and with such amazing moves like Glomp and Rar XD. We lose the first attempt through a bad opening with Ember and try again. Norman opens with Floatzel, who falls to Cersei's Magic Missile. Next comes out Lopunny, who goes down to Ember's Flame Charge. Vaporeon comes out next and falls to Twilight's Wave Dash, and it's the same story for Lucario. After defeating Norman, we can make our way to Winona in Four Tree City. Along the way, we enter Route 119, where we can get our next encounter, Venonat. We catch the Venonat and evolve it into Venomoth, and get the 4th member of our Magic team. After that encounter, we stop Team Aqua at the weather building and receive a Ditto for our troubles. This is also the point where Ember evolved into a Delphox. After stopping Team Aqua, we walk only a few steps before Brendan returns, challenging me to another battle. As you know, my track record with Brendan isn't great, so I went into this fight pretty worried. But the fight went pretty well. Turns out it's a lot easier when you're not limited to one Pokemon. After defeating Brendan, we make our way to Four Tree City. We talk to Steven to gain the Devon Goggles and get access to Winona's gym. Winona uses the Song and Dance type with moves like Break It Down. We don't really have any hardcore counters to her team, but it shouldn't be too scary overall as she does not have any hard resistances to us. We enter the gym, and after getting to the puzzles I definitely did not get stuck on, we reach Winona. We lost the first attempt after her triple dragon boosted Altaria swept our team by breaking it down. The second attempt goes way better. She opens with Ludicolo, who makes a battlefield groovy and goes down to 1 wave dash. She then sends out Altaria, and I switch to Ember and take them out with 2 magic missiles. Winona sends out Maractus next, who keeps using the move Static Shuffle. Out of fear that it would paralyze me, I used Mage Armor to protect myself and increase my evasion, but I eventually took it out with a Mystical Fire. She then sends out Shadow, who I've already had a bad experience with since Shatter is 100% confused, but he luckily goes down to 1 magic missile. Her final Pokemon is Exploud, who also falls to Mystical Fire. With that, we finally get our 6th gym badge. Now, this is where I usually end my streams. I try to get 2 badges a stream, but with the defeat of Winona, I had access to Lily Cove, and with it, a new member of my team, so I had to make my way there before ending. It was also around this time that me and a chatter were talking about different evolutions for the different types that were made in this mod, like how Gun Eevee could be Revolvion, or Ugly Eevee could be Hideon. I reach the department store in Lily Cove, and I see Brendan blocking my path. He wants to challenge me to another battle. I decline in hopes that will make him move, but he stands firm. After another battle, we enter Lily Cove department store to get the Ice Stone. With the Ice Stone, we can evolve Eevee into Glaceon and get the 5th member of our team. Hello, one and all, and welcome to Day 4 of the Too Many Types Magic Only playthrough. Day 4 starts with us leaving Lily Cove, entering Mount Pyre to chase after Team Aqua. While in Mount Pyre, we get our next encounter, Muna, who we named Nimmy because Nimmy Nightmare had just recently debuted. Archie takes the red orb and we go and chase after him. My next goal was to confront Team Magma at their base, but because my knowledge of Emerald is subpar at best, I got lost for a while. After caving and looking it up, I eventually reached the Jagged Pass and the Magma hideout. I make my way through and eventually reach Maxie and battle. Battle wasn't really all that interesting and he goes down really easily. Next is Team Aqua's turn, so I return to Lily Cove to confront them, where we fight Matt, who I can say has one of the biggest glow-ups in the remakes. After the Aqua hideout, we head to Moss Deep City to challenge the next gym. The next gym is Space Theme, with Pokemon like Kirlia and Clefable. We make our way through pretty easily and reach the gym leaders. Or I should say gym leader, cause only Clay is here. Clay specializes in the Ohio and Republican or Right type, which is scary because Ohio is completely immune to magic type, but luckily it's also weak to the gender type, so it's Twilight and Cersei's time to shine. The fight is still a double battle, so he opens up with Bouffalon and Duraludon. The battle begins with a wave dash and a dazzling gleam from my end, and then Duraludon deports Twilight. Nimmy is brought out and Duraludon tries to shoot her, but luckily it's not very effective. After a couple of rodeos and root and tunings from Clay, his team eventually falls to Nimmy and Cersei. After getting our 7th gym badge, I once again got lost because of my poor knowledge of Emerald. After exploring what felt like the entirety of Hoenn, I find out I just needed to move slightly to the right in Moss Deep to continue the story. We enter the Space Center and confront Team Magma. I make my way through the grunts and reach Maxie and Tabitha. Me and Steven battle the two, and while most of it is pretty uneventful, this did happen. I don't know why Aggron is sus, but it was really funny. After stopping Team Magma, I head to Seafloor Cavern to confront Team Aqua. I get to the strength puzzle surprisingly quickly and challenge Archie. The fight begins uneventfully, and then his Crowbell came out and instantly decided to become a menace to my team. With the friend type that resists a lot of my team's moves, and with the super effective Poison Fang at its speed, it instantly became a problem. Eventually it falls and Archie is defeated. With both legendaries awakened and battling in Sootopolis, we meet Wallace and make our way to Sky Pillar to awaken Rayquaza and stop the two from fighting. After making my way to the top of Sky Pillar, which was way easier of an endeavor than I thought it would be, I get Rayquaza to end the battle between Groudon and Kyogre and challenge the next gym. Juan uses the Crab type, which means Pokemon like Ember and Glaceon can cook and freeze them with ease. I make my way through his puzzles with zero mistakes surprisingly and challenge him. Juan opens up with Crawdon, who goes down to 1 Mystical Fire. After that kill, I was pretty confident this was going to be an easy sweep until Machamp came out and one-shot Ember. I send out Glaceon, who gets a good Ice Fang in before I have to switch to avoid the close combat, and Twilight's able to take down the Machamp. Ember takes care of Crabominable, and then he sends out Crustle, who is a bit of a challenge, with Crabwave acting like Dragon Dance and boosting this Mon. Nimmy was able to get some good damage in until Stone Edge took her out, and then Cersei was able to get the kill with Uplift, getting us our last gym badge. I forgot to mention Kingler. He was actually the last Mon that went down to get our badge, but he went down one hit, so he wasn't really eventful. Hello one and all, and welcome to the final day of the Too Many Types Magic Only playthrough. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks. On day 5, we enter Victory Road and head to the Elite Four. We begin our Victory Road journey by challenging Wally. Wally has mastered the Gender type, which I think he's trying to tell me something by, and if so, good for you, Wally. Wally opens with Rapidash and uses Trans Rights to get a boost in special attack, defense, and speed. But he can't really make use of it before Rapidash goes down. Viola comes out next, and I switch to Venomoth and learn just how crazy Leech Life is in Pokemon. Next comes Rosemary, who goes down to one mystical fire. Galley is sent out next and nearly takes out Cersei, so I switch to Nimi, who can take out Galley. Wally's final Pokemon is Sylveon, and he falls to the Moth. After that fight, I was a bit worried I had brought myself to the level cap too early, and the fight to the champion would be way too easy. But I can't turn back time, so I decided to continue forward through Victory Road. As a kid, Victory Road was like a labyrinth that felt impossible to get out of. As an adult, it barely took me like 20 minutes. And most of the time was just battling trainers. I was still really proud of it because it had been a minute since I've gone through an actually challenging Victory Road and not just a straight line. After stocking up on healing items and going to the Pokemon Center, my Elite Four challenge began. The first member of the Elite Four is Sydney. Sydney is a silly guy who is mastered with a silly type. He opens with Spinda, who tries to confuse the Moth but fails and eventually falls. Next is Mr. Rhyme, who goes to about half from Ember before putting him to sleep. Twilight then comes out and takes out Mr. Rhyme, and we realize Silly is weak to gender. Twilight is then able to take out both Dracofish and Whaleren. Then he sends out his final Pokemon, Phalanx, who is one of my favorite Pokemon, so with a single tier, I also take out Phalanx and defeat Sydney. After Sydney, we challenge Phoebe. Phoebe is a hardcore gamer girl. She has mastered the gamer type and is gold in Overwatch 2. She opens with Sableye, who falls quickly to Nimi. Next comes Beware, who hits me with the gamer move 5 Nights, but also goes down 1 hit. But I have 5 turns before that 5 Nights hits me. After Beware, I run into a problem. Dusknoir. Dusknoir has the Uno Reverse type, which flips the type chart and makes super effective moves not very effective, and vice versa. So now I have a Pokemon that resists most of my moves, and I go down in 5 turns. I switch to Twilight, but she goes down in 1 hit, so I try the Moth. But as she goes in, 5 Nights takes effect and goes down. So I send Jack Frost, and Dusknoir takes the 5 Nights attack, but lives. Dusknoir gets off another 5 Nights, and I finally take him down with Magic Missile. Porygon Z comes out, but 5 Nights goes off, taking us both out. Her final Pokemon is Grimmsnarl, who also has the Uno Reverse type. Luckily, I find that the Vibe type is super effective, so Cersei is able to get us a win. After struggling with Phoebe, Larry was a nice chance to catch my breath, and he uses the Boring type, which is weak to magic. Larry's entire team falls to Ember using Magic Missiles, so unfortunately, there's not much to say here. After Larry, we reach the 4th Elite Four member, who is a sussy individual. The sussy Baga uses the Sus type and opens with an Imposter Ditto. The Ditto turns into Cersei, and this is where I learned that Cersei is weak to gender, so after a dazzling gleam, Ditto falls. Next is what I thought was an Among Us. Turns out it was a Zoroark and goes down to a Mystical Fire. The real Among Us comes out, and after taking out Ember, gets switched with Mimikyu. Mimikyu gets taken out by Magic Missile, and next is Licky Licky, who vents at the beginning of the fight. I decided to use an X special attack to increase my chances of taking out Licky Licky, which does work, and Amogus comes out, and the same story happens to him. With the Elite Four defeated, I only have 1 challenge left before I can claim victory. The champion, Wallace. Wallace has a stacked team that is terrifying. He opens with Why Not, and at a first glance this kind of seems like a joke, until you look at his typing, Baby Uno Reverse. This means he's resistant to every type in the game. And with the move Babify, he can change my Pokemon to Baby type, therefore making it weak to every type. But I had a plan. I had taught the Moth Poison Powder with the plan to just stall out Why Not until it died. I then threw away this plan at about half health and started attacking. Luckily, nothing bad happened and Why Not went down. Wallace's next Pokemon is Shedinja, which is the Sands type, which means it's immune to most types in the game. Once again, I had planned for this and taught Ember Shadow Ball to take it out. Wallace then sends out Deoxys. Yeah, we're really ramping up the fight now. Deoxys is the Space and Crab type, so my hope was to use Ember or Jack Frost to hit it with something super effective. Deoxys instantly takes out Ember, so I send in Jack Frost, and Jack Frost is able to give it Frostbite and get it pretty low before faint. Wallace heals Deoxys, and Nimi is able to take it out. Next is Savali, who is the Emerald type and the Type type. The Emerald type is super effective against everything, and the Type will double any type interaction in the game. Savali is a terrifying monster, so I basically just have to pray that it doesn't take out my entire team too quickly. Savali opens with a multi-attack, which of course is super effective, dealing 1 damage. So here's the funny thing about Savali. It does so much damage that the game can't really calculate it, and so it deals 1 damage to my Pokemon instead. Savali being so strong has turned it into not being a problem. Wallace's next Pokemon is Metagross, who is the Steel, Space, and Guise type. Metagross takes out Venomoth, and Cersei is able to take it out with an Uplift. I'm right at the end, and Wallace sends out his final Pokemon, Latias. Latias is the OU type, which stands for Overused, as in competitive Pokemon overused. Latias instantly takes out Cersei, so Twilight comes out. With a calm mind, Latias is now even stronger and bulkier. I try a Magic Missile, which gets her to about half health, and then she one-shots Twilight. Nimi is brought out and sacked so I can revive Ember. This is the point where I think the run is over. Latias has boosted special attack and defense and seems to be able to one-shot anything I have. Ember comes out and takes the Thunderbolt from Latias, living on 5 HP. I fully heal Ember, and 1 Magic Missile later, I have finally claimed victory over Wallace, becoming the champion. Thank you all one last time for watching this series. I never thought I would get really past 100 views, but to see some of the videos go almost 200 is crazy. So I really want to continue doing this. I plan on either doing Ephemerald or Hollow Ground next with the model type challenge. I'm not sure yet, but I'll be doing it all live at twitch.tv/JoeTheMo. And if you did enjoy, please do subscribe. Thank you all so much again. Bye-bye.